1, 2, 3, testing. This is 7. Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Makeup Maria from Miami, and if you're living your best life in your mid-plus years, or you love skincare and makeup, this is the right place for you. Guys, in my last video, in case you missed it, I discussed my skin cancer journey. So to balance things out, I was planning a fun makeup video, and then 2 sunscreen stories came out, and I said to myself, I guess I'm doing a sunscreen video. Okay, so today we're talking about 2 alarming news stories that came out recently. One is that a carcinogen was found in many popular sunscreens, benzene. And the other article is about how the chemicals in chemical sunscreens stay in your bloodstream at a higher rate and longer than scientists thought. Okay, so I'm going to divide up the information as I did in the last video. What you should know, what you may not know, and how to protect yourself. So let's do it. Okay, so before we talk about the news stories, we're going to cover some of the information that you should know about sunscreens. You should know that you're probably not putting enough sunscreen on. You need a whole teaspoon for your face and neck and a shot glass full of sunscreen for your body. And a shot glass actually seems a little small, but there's been a lot of information on YouTube about this, so hopefully you're aware of that. Another thing is you should know that there are 2 types of sunscreens. There's physical, mineral, and chemical sunscreens. Physical, mineral is the same, and chemical. And they both work differently. Physical or mineral sunscreens reflect UV rays from your skin, while chemical ones absorb UV rays so that your skin does not. So the advantage of the mineral sunscreen is that their active ingredients, zinc oxide and titanium dioxide, haven't been shown to absorb into the blood. So if you're concerned about the potential safety hazard of applying chemical sunscreen to your skin, but you want the benefit of protecting your skin from the harmful effects of the UV rays, mineral is probably the best way to go. The problem, of course, is that mineral sunscreen are less cosmetically elegant, is what people say. They're generally more expensive, and they leave a cast oftentimes. It takes a little harder to rub in. They don't wear well under makeup oftentimes either. Okay, for the what you may not know section, we'll talk about the 2 news stories that recently came out. The first one is that the FDA recently found that the chemicals in chemical sunscreen stays in your system longer than they had thought and at a higher rate in the bloodstream. And some chemicals actually stayed in your system for a month, which is pretty alarming. They're saying, though, that they just need to study it more. They are not saying right now that it's not safe, but certainly it's a cause for concern. The other article isn't about sunscreen in particular, really. They did just test sunscreens, but it's a problem across the board with any products because there was a company that found a carcinogen called benzene in a lot of popular sunscreens that they tested. About 25% of the sunscreens that they tested had this carcinogen. And I'll have a list below where you can check and see. There's a list of products that have it, and there's a list of products that don't have it. The important thing to know is that it's happening in batches, which means it may have something to do with the production of these products, which is why it could affect other products. And it's something that definitely needs to be studied. So I've linked the news stories below where you can take a look and read for yourself. Also a video by Dr. Drew. She's a dermatologist, and I've linked her below. I think she has a lot of valid information, and she talks about the benzene article in particular. Not know that increasing the amount of SPF in your sunscreen only leads to incremental advantages. For example, if you go from 30 to 50, the advantage is from 95 to 97% effectiveness. But what you need to consider is that people typically do not put enough sunscreen on, and so studies are performed in the laboratory. It's not the way we put on sunscreen every day. So most likely, if you feel that you're probably not going to put enough sunscreen on, go ahead and get that 50 versus 30 in order to stay protected. You need to know the FDA releases guidelines that for sunscreen companies to abide to, but they don't necessarily check on each product. You may not know that certain ingredients in sunscreen contribute to coral reef damage. Oxybenzone, octocrylene, and oxynoxact are among the primary sunscreen ingredients of concern. The only two reef-safe active ingredients approved by the FDA are non-nanotized zinc oxide or titanium dioxide. A non-nanotized ingredient means that it is 100 nanometers in diameter or more. However, no sunscreen is known to be totally safe for aquatic life, so the best way to protect yourself and the environment is to cover as much of your body as possible with UPF, ultraviolet protection factor clothing, though you still need to use sunscreen on exposed skin. This is what I'm wearing. It's not UPF. It doesn't have the label on it, but this is the type of thing that I would wear if I went out on a boat, fishing, to the beach or the pool, over my bathing suit. And I wear a hat too, which you may have seen in the introduction. How do you protect yourself? As far as the benzene, the carcinogen that was found in the products, there are lists that you can check. You can find out which products were tested, which ones have benzene, and which ones do not have benzene. They even tell you how to dispose of the sunscreens that do have carcinogen, the benzene in it, because it is harmful to people. Okay, so the best thing you can do is use mineral sunscreen. I think that if it's an option for you, definitely do that. I'm going to continue to use both my mineral sunscreen and my chemical sunscreens depending on the situation. I do like the chemical sunscreen for under makeup or other situations. If I'm just home and hanging out, I'm not going outside, use the chemical sunscreen because the mineral sunscreen is heavier and sometimes I do break out and it does have a little bit of a white cast. Okay, let's talk about products. High-end mineral sunscreen, I have the Color Science 50 and this works really well. It's not on the list, so I will continue to use that sometimes, particularly when I'm outside a lot. I have the Elta MD, and that was on the list that did not have the carcinogen, so I'm happy about that. I also will continue to use the Hydro Boost Neutrogena. It was also on the list without benzene, so I'm happy to hear that. It is a chemical sunscreen also. The Elta, I believe, is a combination of mineral and chemical. I will continue to use my Chantecaille because I really love it. Under my makeup, it is chemical. But it is a broad spectrum 45 primer. Supergoop, they're great products as well. Not these in particular, so I don't know. They probably just weren't tested. Like I said, there's so many different variations of products and they couldn't test everything. Chantecaille wasn't on the list either. I also linked a video that Lisa Eldrige did a few years ago about sunscreen that spells out how the United States is far behind the rest of the world when it comes to sunscreens, and a law that President Obama passed, but that wasn't funded enough to make a difference, unfortunately. Watching, don't forget to hit that notification button, give it a thumbs up, leave your comments and questions below, and wear sunscreen. Bye.